Hello and welcome to the 12 for our level 23 edition of Trials of the Tempest, our Tempest Ranger life with purple. I am not going to mention anymore the Illithid invasion and its implications for this life. Suffice it to say we're going to stick mostly with Elite on the way up here. The timing is a bit unfortunate because it means that I'm going to do a second life, a repeat in Epic, because I want to see how it would have gone on in Reaper 1, going up, leveling, relative to previous lives that we've made, to make a bit of a comparison. I have a feeling he would have performed rather well. I mean, he's well geared out, as I mentioned in the past. He's got two of these lovely Drow Scimitar of the Weapon Master, very kindly donated by Mike. And really nice, for the first time for Purple's Lives, 5-piece Epic Saltmarsh kit. A lot of these items are totally relevant to the build: accuracy, deadly seeker decks, insightful decks, just really great stuff. Some devotion and healing lore there for the healing side of things, for all this stuff that he's got going on. An invisibility, 3 charges per quest, ghostly, speed, dodge. The list is endless, so it's not like we're poorly geared. So yeah, we've been doing really nicely in Elite, with the exception of when the psionics pop up, but I think that's the same for every melee at the moment. Some of you are waiting until the event is over. I totally get that. Me, I've just chosen to lower the difficulty a little bit and live with it on this occasion. So, what do I have to share that is not Illithid related? Right, we've had a change around in the Epic Destinies, as discussed previously. If you've been following, I'd planned all along to make Crusader our main one, partly because we can have the Scimitar as a favoured weapon out of there and get bonuses relating to that. Partly because I haven't really done anything with Crusader at all, and maybe because we haven't done Paladin yet on the channel. So I've taken the points out of Dreadnought for now to bung into here. We've got the mantle going on. So if I'd thought about it, I would probably weapons of shield your alignment. So we could have, we should really have been lawful good, couldn't? Would it be lawful good for the best damage bypass? I think good is a very good one to have, isn't it? As it is, we're chaotic neutral, so we're not getting the full benefit of that. But we are benefiting from, we've got 3 attack and damage in there, melee power and hit point boost. This is a key one for us, for our weapons. Immune to durability damage. So now, for the first time, we don't need a swapping thing. For the first time since we were using those Kenneth crafted blue shine weapons, so we can stick with our drow weapons regardless of what comes now, immune to damage. So that's a lovely quality of life enhancement to have. We've gone for the consecration thing here, so standing in there, a bit like, it's going to be a bit like the monk's cauldron thing, this, for us, isn't it? Standing in there is good, basically. So we're going to be having a ticking heal, and also with this one, we don't have an imbue, but we will get 10% damage bonus, which is going to be nice. And if we do happen to group, any allies around will get the I'm guessing they'll get the damage and heal bonus too. So that will be nice. Favoured weapon, and attached to that, +3 enhancement bonus with favoured weapon and 1 W damage. So that's replacing the 1 W we gave up in the legendary Dreadnought tree. So not too bad. I took the second core as well in Sentinel. Not too fussed about this curses thing, but less evil damage isn't bad because I think there is some nasty evil damage in early Epic. Some of those Demon Web quests, didn't we suffer quite badly in those when we played the monk? They were hitting very hard, weren't they? Is it because I was lawful at that time? I was taking double damage or something? I think possibly. So that'll be nice to have, but the hit points and the melee power will be nicer still. And yes, just the bare bones at the moment in Dreadnought. I will build that back up in due course, especially the extra action boosts, as our strategy is kind of revolving around that. We've got the 5-piece prowess set in our one of our drow scimitars. About the weapon choices, these are overkill, honestly, for if you're just running one life like we are. Well, we're doing two, so maybe not quite overkill, but it was something really nice to be able to show and share, and they are devastating. I'm noticing big crits, big numbers, and popping up all the time, because critting on a 12 to 20, it's really, really good. But yes, for a one and done life, the Borderlands weapons, for any life, would be absolutely fine, I reckon, to get to 29, and no need whatsoever to put sentience in either for a one and done. I do it just for a bit of interest, and because it's kind of become tradition to put a sentient gem on purple. I just use throwaway sentient filigrees, and each time he changes to a new life, I'll just destroy all the filigrees and then use one sentient kit to remove the gem and transfer it to the weapon for the new life. That's just how I go, because I've got plenty of filigrees to be using. It's just nice to see what we might do this time. For a bit of a change, we've gone for this prowess action boost related set. 50 melee power whenever we trigger a boost for 10 seconds, so that's quite nice. What else have I got noted down? This is a bit of a reference back to the Illithid event, I'm afraid, but it is what we've been doing, so I'm going to relate it anyway. We have finished the Evening Star 2 chain, and I also did the In the Belly of the Beast. I had a real nightmare in there, just really, really bad, because when the bosses or mini bosses pop up around that Rites Gladiator, every one of them was a psionic, so this meant 4, maybe 5, maybe even 6 of them at one go, and we just never stood a chance. Immediately I could see I wasn't going to kill him, and our own health was getting absolutely shredded. And this wasn't on Reaper, this was on Elite. I've long since given up doing Reaper this life. So that was tough. I had to go back in there and complete the quest at the second attempt. At least that's one advantage of going on Elite. You can actually do that if you die. The purists would say I should park a cleric at the opening of the quest, but for some reason, although I do have one here, but for some reason I just don't like doing it. What else do we have? I'm deliberately ignoring the Illithid references because I put a separate post up recently about that. Both good and less good opinions of the event. Yes, we did a bit in the Red Fens, and I found a Twisted Talisman heroic, and I thought, oh, I'll have a look, see what you get. Not necessarily for purple here, because he's not really into spell points here, apart from for healing. But what would you get if you converted that to epic, for a caster? And I was disappointed to find it's only just a couple of more charges and the same 50 spell points per charge, I think, is it? So nothing like what you get on the Ring of Spell Storing, and just not worth doing in my opinion, unless you want it as part of a set. I don't know if it's part of a set, that one, but I certainly won't be bothering with it. I'm a bit disappointed at that. The weapons I've mentioned, that's been mentioned. Yep, I think that about covers it. So, what else can we show? We can show our page as it is now. So the armor class is enough, I think, to get the odd miss still, so that's not terrible. The reflex save is enough that our evasion should work fairly well, I think. It's a pity we're not allowed to run, well, not able to run Reaper without getting butchered at this level, because we would have plenty of extra Reaper reflex saves to fall back on. Fortification is reasonable. The DR isn't terrible. Over 50% less damage taken. Not terrible. And of course with the energy resists we are on 50 for everything, which is very tasty. The con is fairly decent. The dex is good. So we're in a reasonably good place. And the hit points are reasonably good with the competence bonus you get at the top of the Tempest tree. So, let's go ahead and get into the quest, the one I've chosen for today. Kind of a big deal. I think I've done this before. It's kind of my catchphrase, isn't it? On these things. I almost went to Reaper out of habit. I would expect this to bear out my comments of us doing very nicely until or unless a group of those psionics pop up. But I'm determined to stop talking about that and just focus on the build and the quest now.
You appear near the outskirts of a village, the place where Mortagon fled. The sounds of
my impressions so far are that it's a pretty unique, the two weapon playstyle. It's the first time I've ever dipped into this kind of thing, and this one is fairly unique in that it has some defences in the Tempest tree as well as the attack. There's quite a balance to be struck. We could put 9 points in here and get 3 reflex saves, another 3 saves on traps, bonuses to dodge and dodge cap. So I think these are probably better for the the act cap thing when you're pushing the limits of the numbers and your dodge bonus. I think that's probably where you'd see the most benefit for those. I've gone more offensive. I've seen people who've missed this attack and damage line completely. I mean, it is 10 points after all, and focus stuff elsewhere, like in the defensive bits. The imbue, I just can't see a point, to be honest. I just don't see us getting enough dice to make it valid. We can get, well, we can, if we switch it on with that, we can get 1 dice temporarily when standing in the consecration. We can have another dice for the ghost esoteric touch thing in the dreadnought, and maybe another couple of dice at level 28 for Harbinger of Chaos. But 4 dice, is that? It's not really either here nor there, is it? So no, I didn't bother with that. Okay, I've waffled on far too much anyway. So let's push on and get the old quest started.
Mortagon mutters. Foolish kobolds, couldn't fight them.
It's funny, I don't mind boosting like that, using the spring attack to move a bit quicker on occasion. But I draw the line at this constant tumbling people are doing just to go a bit faster. I just find it irritating. Not for me. Okay.
You're really good at this.
I do like to use the spring attack to mow down a line of enemies though, or for an entry into a combat. Now, this would be a good one to do if we can just get it to cool down. There we go. I think we got most of those on our way through. Finish them off with... Oh, well, we won't finish them off because that one was a psionic. Okay. A spring attack could be available again soon. Oh, they're all a bit spread out though. No, that didn't really go quite to plan. So we're just a bit down on our action boosts at the moment.
Yet there's no time to relax.
I think we would have 8 normally, but every time I teleport to a destination, I get the target marked, put the boost on. Growing storm. Every time I teleport to a destination, the main hand weapon gets swapped, and that's where the filigrees are, which are giving us, among other things, 2 extra action boosts. That's from the prowess set bonus. So we are a little bit down on those at the moment. Actually, I could rectify that by resting here, couldn't I? Let's just see, we should end up with 8. There we go, happy days. So that would be something to bear in mind if I was using scrolls regularly, like if I had other party members who needed resing, and or maybe we're not fit to use a greater resto scroll at the moment, are we? But that kind of thing. Every time I did that, I would lose 2 action boost. I did try to fit the sentient weapon in the offhand, but I learned that in so doing that when you make a weapon sentient, it can only go in the main hand. The non-sentient version of the drow scimitar of the weapon master can go in the offhand. So that's something worth remembering.
Something is causing the creatures in the world to grow to an enormous size. Perhaps the
Trial was to mark the problematic targets, which in this case invariably means the psionics, thralls. Let's use the spring attack to get stuck into that one. Crikey, look at it, it's hardly even damaged. The number of hits I've had to put into that relative to the others, and it's still not dead. Yeah. I'm determined not to belabour the point. I want to focus here on the fun to be had, the nice things you can do with the build, and ignore the psionics as much as possible. Speaking of which, there's another one. They're actually quite hard to ignore because they're much more so than a Reaper. Well, alright, we don't have Reapers at this level, but much more so than a Reaper, they are a big threat. I'm pretty sure Reapers at this level we would be melting like the rest of the stuff. Hit the exposing strike on them and they'd be gone. But not so these guys. Oh crikey, 2 of them. That is a problem. Okay, elaborate parry, growing storm, everything in. Should probably have triggered the Hood of Unrest. We're going to take some massive damage here. Get the consecration thing going. Come on. Go try and kill at least one. There's your illustration. This is Elite, remember, not Reaper. And these things are absolutely brutal. And for that reason, we are running in the lower difficulties this life, because I just can't handle that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff on Reaper with nerfed healing, we just would not be able to handle. So the solution, if you're running solo like I'm doing predominantly, lower the difficulty, and if in a group you have group mates to help with the healing. I think we've got concentration back up again. Come on then. They don't have to take some dispatching, my word. And look at the lack of damage as well. Anything that wasn't a crit was barely even tickling it. So more than one shot in two was basically doing nothing to it. See, I was determined not to talk about them, but they're kind of in your face. Oh, two of them again there. On the one side, I'm glad, I suppose, in a sense, that we are, through our suffering, contributing in some small way to the fulfillment of the goals in the event and the opening of the new quests. I have enjoyed that side, especially the first one with the new mechanic, the different types of opponent that you have to be careful of and look for. It's got a hint of a raid mechanic about it, that. Also, what I would know too much about raids. We raid in quite a limited capacity in the bear party because there's only a select few that we can actually manage. Oh my god, do me a favour. Select few we can actually manage to complete in our little team. That looks like another two there, doesn't it? No, is it just one? Okay. Anyway, consecrate. Get back in that circle. Am I on the floor? My god. Get up, boy. Do it. Goodness me. Any time today. Wow. I lost count after about 25. I just think when something skews the general game so much, aside from the lag, that is, it can't be ideal, can't be. I was speaking to somebody. I think it's less evident in groups, because in groups you've got people to heal and res you and all this kind of stuff. And let's face it, if people are just leveling on Reaper 1 in a full group going to the cap on this lag, on characters who have Huggins of past lives, you know, it really doesn't matter. They would steamroll Reaper 1 anyway, like they'd probably steamroll Reaper 4 if they wanted to do it. Just a bit longer it would take. So in those situations it's not going to make itself too obvious. It's the situations like this where people are, for one reason or another, doing more soloing, that it will become quite a lot more difficult to do whatever you were doing at the difficulty you were doing it at. I know what folk are going to say. Get good or find a group. actually, if I was to do group videos in this series, I think it might sort of dilute it a little bit because I don't know about you folks, but I want to see if I'm watching something like this, what the character itself is doing, not sort of in the middle of, you know, a melee with stuff going all over the place and not quite sure what's happening. At least here, it's reasonably clear what we're doing or what we're trying to do and what the failings of our character are, what the strong points are. Excuse me.
Fills the hallway as the door opens. Somehow you can sense magic. The artifact sits on a pedestal in the center of the chamber. The cobalt shop. You feel strange. As things start to go dark, you can just make out Mektek fleeing the room with the artifact.
Maybe this is the solution. Turn into a giant and go and hammer the psionics. Let's give it a go. There's one in there at least. Go on, yeah, it's a force trigger for the into the bargain. We did flatten one psionic down there. I always feel like I'm going along at snail's pace when we've jumped up like this. Gives a bit of a boost.
You'll never get it. It's mine. These once deadly traps have little effect on your giant form. It's nothing more than a bee sting.
Now, what nice things can drop in it? Oh yeah, the shield clickable drops in here, which we actually should be using, although I think one of my other characters is borrowing it at the moment. I'll have to have a look for it in Purple's bank. It's 20 minutes, maybe even a bit more, because it's a level 21 item, is it? Of shield. Can be very nice if you don't have that natively, like plenty don't. See how easily he melted. If that had been a psionic, we'd have been here until probably until the wee small hours. Go on, give us a shield clickable. Not today. Okay. Still, not bad, not bad. I think you saw enough there to probably appreciate that we could be challenging on Reaper 1 at this point. We handled everything very comfortably, with the exception of the psionics that caused us real trouble. But I'm sure it's like that for many of the player base. So we are not going to belabor the point. Okay, I think that's about it for this one. What have we done? We've still got to do Evening Star 3. And I won't do Whisking this time because we don't have a DDO. Will I do the Catacombs this time around? I'm not sure. Might go straight on to the Druid's Chain. I'm doing as normal, preparing all the Evening Star sagas, especially as we're going to do a second time around. I'll leave all those prepped and ready. Okay, thank you very much as always for looking, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Take care.